her attorney said that we should get those by the end of next week. And now, of course, from Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, we heard a little bit about their plan, too. He talked about how they want this case moving forward as quickly as possible.
Judge Lewis Liman has technically given Blake Lively a small win, but before you think that is a flex, hold up. Some of her demands got tossed out so fast because they were just super ridiculous. And the ones that the judge actually granted barely moves the needle for her. But either way, we've got to talk about how this minor win impacts her case against Justin Baldoni moving forward. Is Blake about to spin the whole thing around in her favor? Let's find out.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history. Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man.
I know I've said that Blake has some edge over Baldoni right now, but the same court also just denied another one of her wild requests to pin down Justin Baldoni by fire, by force, as she has been plotting all along, and let's just say that her publicist might need therapy after this one. The thing is, this ruling didn't just shake her case, it exposed how paper-thin and underwhelming her receipts really are. To build a strong case on her heavy claims of workplace SA and smear campaign, and as always, the streets, the media, and even her old celeb friends have literally turned her into a laughingstock. But wait. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me bring you all up to speed real quick. And for that, we'll have to go back to where it all started. So a few weeks ago, the It Ends With Us drama took a turn nobody saw coming when out of nowhere, Blake's legal team popped out talking about how they need full access to Justin Baldoni's phone records, like all his texts, emails, carrier pigeons, everything. Not only that, the subpoena had also requested call and text logs between Baldoni, his PR team, and other employees of Wayfarer Studios. His lawyers, Mike Gottlieb and Ezra Hudson, said in a statement to People that Lively filed subpoenas to expose the people, tactics, and methods that have worked to destroy and bury her reputation and family over the past year. So basically, Blake and her team swear up and down that the current negative public opinion about her is all on Baldoni. According to them, every shady headline, every messy tweet, even the crusty TikToks dragging Blake's performance, all that apparently was a part of some big, evil Baldoni plot. Now, if you're thinking, okay, where's the proof? Same. That's exactly what the court asked too. But instead of dropping solid receipts, Blake's team basically said, well, we don't have the proof yet, but we're pretty sure it's somewhere in Justin's phone. So that's how we ended up here, with Blake reaching so hard for evidence. Meanwhile, Justin's team was sitting pretty like, we have nothing to hide. In response to the subpoenas, Friedman told People magazine that the requests are an extraordinary part of the litigation process, but said what Lively's lawyers are seeking was extraordinary. Friedman added that they are asking for every single call, text, data log, and even real-time location information for the past 2.5 years, regardless of the sender, recipient, or subject matter. This massive fishing expedition demonstrates that they are desperately seeking any factual basis for their provably false claims. They will find none. But see, this move right here, it started a whole domino effect. The moment everyone realized Blake might be trying to rewrite the whole story because they clearly did not have sufficient evidence to back up her original claims. To be fair, she thought that she did until Baldoni set up that entire website of evidence. Alright, so fast forward to very recently, and the judge finally gave a ruling on this matter. And that's when we woke up to headlines like, U.S. court denies Blake Lively's request for Justin Baldoni's phone records in legal battle. So what exactly was the ruling? Well, let's find out. A U.S. court has ruled against actress Blake Lively's request to access Justin Baldoni's phone records as a part of an ongoing legal dispute involving allegations of SA and retaliation. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the court determined that the request constituted an excessive invasion of Baldoni's privacy. The ruling then continues to say, Lively's legal team had sought access to phone records claiming they contained evidence of a conspiracy involving Baldoni and other individuals aimed at damaging her reputation. However, U.S. District Judge Lewis Liman denied the request, stating that even if others were involved in the alleged plot, it did not justify granting Lively access to the extensive private data. The judge emphasized that phone records often contain sensitive personal information and should not be broadly disclosed. But then remember guys, at the start we said that Blake had a slight win, right? So in case you're wondering how exactly she won, let's turn to this Variety article real quick. It Ends With Us lawsuit, judge issues mixed ruling in Blake Lively's subpoena for 2 years of Justin Baldoni's team's phone records. The mixed ruling granted part of Blake's subpoena for phone records while shutting down certain requests that he deemed overly intrusive and disproportionate to the needs of the case. The specific details she could pursue were details such as the identities and contact information of individuals involved using other legal avenues. So basically, Blake can have some access to Justin and his team's phone records, so you'd think that she would be pleased, right? Well, not so fast. See, the thing about Blake, she doesn't do halfway. It's either all or nothing with her. So when the court only gave her a little taste instead of the whole buffet. This article reads, following the decision, Lively's representatives alleged that Baldoni promptly sought legal intervention to prevent the disclosure of certain phone records upon receiving the request. They also stated that Lively's legal team intends to refine their approach and submit more targeted requests directly to those involved in the case. In plain English, Blake's team is basically playing the blame game, literally out here acting like Justin sprinted to the courthouse to block them the second that they asked for those records, when in reality, the court simply decided what she could and couldn't have. And as for the whole refining their approach thing, people are saying that's just a fancy legal way to say we didn't come correct the first time, so now we're scrambling to clean up the mess. The article concludes that, on the other hand, Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, welcomed the court's decision, arguing that it prevented Lively from excessively invading his client's privacy. He characterized Lively's legal strategy as a desperate attempt to find damaging information against Baldoni. Brian Friedman stays working overtime on this case, you guys. Justin Baldoni is one lucky man. With the court ruling in Baldoni's favor for now, the legal battle is far from over as Lively's team prepares to refine their strategy and continue seeking evidence. Team Baldoni have been celebrating this win like their lives depended on it. This person said, nothing upsets a narcissist more than being accused of something they definitely did. This person wrote, are her lawyers dumb? I think she has her own lawyers. She took over. This other one said, Judge has to be so sick of her by now. I mean, where is the lie? One more comment. I hope Brian Friedman subpoenaed Taylor Swift, the cast of It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover, and Sony executives. Throw Ryan Reynolds into that mix. He should get a subpoena too. I don't know about y'all, but I would love to see how that pans out. All right, moving on to the more depressing matters for Team Blake. If you thought Blake was going through a lot is going through her. The thing is, Blake was confident that she could just control the whole narrative when she partnered with New York Times to discredit Justin Baldoni, but now that she can't, she is the one who is out here scrambling, trying to silence anyone with a Wi-Fi connection. And everyone who helped her spread her story is now ducking for cover because this whole thing flipped on her head real quick. Then now we have this court decision basically confirming that Blake might be grasping at straws so hard, just as people predicted that she would. Guys, things have been so bad that Blake is now going after us, and by us, I mean anyone who has created any form of content on this matter, all because she can't believe how it all blew up in her face. After the judge rejected her desperate demand to gag Baldoni a while back, instead of taking the L, she thought, if I can't silence Justin, I might as well gag the whole internet. Goes without saying that flopped as well. So yeah, Blake's legal team is officially out here trying to silence content creators, all because they've been repeating Justin Baldoni's side of the story. In a new court filing, Blake's attorney specifically calls out creators who parrot Justin's arguments, trying to paint them as some kind of threat to the case. And y'all, the hypocrisy is wild because let's not forget, Blake herself is the one who leaked private texts and details to the New York Times before this was even officially filed. Now suddenly she's obsessed with privacy and everyone is like, girl, be serious. Some of the directly mentioned creators include Perez Hilton, who coincidentally happens to be represented by Brian Friedman as well. I mean, I can see why Blake's team thinks pro-Baldoni creators are an inside job and probably part of her alleged smear campaign machine. The order also mentions Candace Owens, who has dropped everything to go full detective mode on this case. And what's interesting is that there was a time when Candace told Blake not to sue her because she did not have time for that nonsense. But here is what is really going on. Blake's team are fighting over a protective order, which is normal in legal battles, but Blake's team wants to take it to an extreme level. She is demanding that any communication or involvement from celebrities, yes, even Taylor Swift, be classified as attorney's eyes only. That means the public, the media, and yes, content creators would be completely locked out of seeing these documents. Meanwhile, this is the same Blake who has been running to the press, putting Justin on blast, and even letting her husband joke about the whole thing on SNL. The double standard is insane, and people are seeing right through it, saying this isn't all about protecting survivors or fighting for justice. If it was, Blake wouldn't be trying so hard to hide the evidence. One minute she's trying to control the narrative after publicly smearing Justin, but now that Discovery could expose some inconvenient receipts, including how her own co-stars and people close to the situation feel, she wants it all under wraps? Convenient, right? Even Deadline had to call out the ridiculous back and forth in these filings. But Blake's request to silence creators, now that's where it really gets messy. According to her team, creators repeating Justin's points, many of which came directly from public filings, are part of some misinformation echo chamber. The public opinion is that the whole push for secrecy is all about optics. Blake's camp knows certain documents would make her look bad, especially if they show that her case isn't airtight as she made it seem. And calling out creators by name is just intimidation, plain and simple. It's giving, if you can't control the story, scare anyone who wants to talk about it. And of course the media, including outlets Blake's team has fed for months, jumped right on the protective order story. But here's the part that they leave out. This entire mess started because Blake made it public. Now she wants to hide behind the same privacy she violated when it suited her. Bottom line, if you leak texts, file it in the press first, and make a case headline circus, you don't get to cry about privacy later. Content creators aren't the problem here. The problem is Blake can't handle losing control of the stories she thought she could script. And now the internet is not letting her off the hook. And by the way, since we're talking villains, A Simple Favor 2 trailer just dropped, and the fact that Blake literally plays the villain is just the craziest coincidence of this case. I mean, tell me why the timing is so crazy now that she's being called one in real life too. Oh, and that's not even the wildest part. Even though they've dropped their trailer, they have straight up disabled the comments. That is all you need to know, that things will never be the same again for Blake. Someone even joked Anna Kendrick should lock Blake and Ryan in the basement for the premiere. And that's it, loves. I need to hear your opinions on this one. Do y'all think Blake will survive this? Drop your thoughts below because this whole thing has got me stressed. Thank you for watching, and don't even think about going anywhere because the next story, you're not ready. Stay tuned.